Hello, kiddies. I'm going to tell you how to defend Trump. Because if you're surrounded by liberals or millennials, or you live in any major city like Toronto, Montreal, New York, or LA, you're constantly bored to tears by morons who hate Trump. And the reason they hate Trump is because they built up this straw man who is a racist, who hates Mexicans, who hates Muslims, who loves violence, and who's going to, with his irresponsible ways, start a global war. We're going to have World War III if we let this guy in. All of these things, I always say the same thing to people. I say, what sentence did he say that you have a problem with? Because the Gargamel Smurf hater you created doesn't exist. And the violent thing, I mean, you go to a rally and someone attacks you. Well, he asked them to, we've got what, a few punches? You guys came to our rallies and attacked us and said, your guy sucks, try to Rush concert and get back to me. Doesn't go well when you do that kind of thing. And by the way, violence is underrated. But instead of sitting here and defending every single ridiculous allegation they give this guy, and I wish sometimes they would be good because it would be more fun to fight, I'm just going to focus on the 5 reasons you should vote for Trump. Ready? Number 1, he is an entrepreneur. Now, 7 years of Obama have taught us that being an entrepreneur is no big deal. You didn't build that. Someone else drove down those roads and went to that public school. Being an entrepreneur is huge. It's why we have a job. It's why I'm sitting here. And for some reason, we stopped revering these people. We stopped seeing it as a big deal. And I've even heard millennials criticize Trump and say, he's a terrible businessman. He failed at this, he failed at that. Those of us who have generated money in the real world, from hot dog stands to major billion-dollar corporations, know that it's 12 failures for every success. And when you have that success, you employ people. No, dummies, it's not a matter of the pizza pie and he's got a huge slice and you get little slices. He opened a whole pizza joint. There's infinite pizzas to go around. Without entrepreneurs, we have no income, we have no jobs. And by the way, all these illegals have taken away young people's jobs. We have them sitting on the couch at the age of 27 because they never cleaned pools, they never mowed lawns, they never did any of those crap jobs because we killed their economic libido. That's why they're sitting on the couch. That's why they can't pay off their stupid student loans. And I'll get to that later with immigration. Numero 2, he's anti-establishment. I don't understand why comedians and artists and for some reason pretty girls all seem to love Bernie. I can't figure it out. But they don't respect that he's anti-establishment. I don't get it. The GOP hates him. Republican elites hate him. National Review hates him. Everyone wearing a monocle hates this guy. It's not just the libs. And the people who love him, middle American average Joes. Doesn't that tell you something? Don't the fans tell you something? There's a lot to say about someone by their enemies. You can judge a man by his enemies. And the enemies of Donald Trump are the elites. I was under the understanding that we hated lobbyists. Jack Abramoff was the guy. They did a whole 60 Minutes on him. And he personified this broken system we have where you pay for a lobbyist to go to Washington. He promotes a politician. Politician gets in office, and then he has to pay the guy back. Trump doesn't have that. He doesn't have those debts. He doesn't owe those favors. Isn't that a good thing? And then people go, oh, he's going too soon, though. Becoming president costs $1 billion. Yeah, by your stupid way of doing it, he's a Scotsman. He's a cheap-ass entrepreneur. And so far, Twitter and just antagonizing networks has done wonders for publicity. He's not going to need $1 billion, so he's going to be in office and he's going to be beholden to no one. That drives the elites nuts, and it should drive you crazy with happiness. Number 3, he's anti-immigration. This is a big deal for those of us who have been paying attention for the past 20 years. When he brought that up, he was the first politician to say, you know what, this immigration thing ain't so great. And the GOP went, oh, he's dead now. And then all of a sudden they looked around and they went, holy shit. Everyone seems to be agreeing with him. And then you had Jeb Bush and Rubio going, I'm anti-immigration too. I think it's out of control. Focus on illegals if that's easier for you, if you don't want to get drowned in the rhetoric of we're a nation of immigrants. We're not, by the way. We're a nation of citizens. Right now, with immigration the way it is, we have blacks in California who can't flip burgers without speaking Spanish. We have so much money going back to Mexico. And I'm not just talking about our $53 billion trade deficit. I'm talking about people sending back via Western Union. It's the opposite of tourism, where tourists come to be with you and just leave the money there. These tourists come in, take the money out. And if you want to know how much it is, how many trillions of dollars it is, check out Carlos Slim, one of the richest people in the world. This guy just gleans a little bit off the top, whether you're calling back to Mexico or whether you're sending money back. He just takes a little bit off the top. He's one of the richest men in the world. He bought the New York Times, which is one of the reasons why you hear the New York Times being so pro-immigration. We're sick of immigration, okay? And he said, he didn't say all Mexicans are rapists. He said a disproportionate number, and this is something the left has to understand. When an abnormal amount of a group does a thing, you can notice that pattern. A disproportionate number of Mexicans seem to have a problem with sexual assault. Texas deported, what, 2,000 sexual molesters in 1 year? These were all illegal aliens. We have something like 80% of these young girls who cross the border get raped as they do it. They're not the worst rapists in the world, but a disproportionate number. As Trump himself said, I'm sure some of them are nice, but we have an issue here with this group. We're no longer importing the best. We're importing the worst, and we're allowing the even worse to go through the cracks. All right. And by the way, this also applies to tariffs. Everyone goes, he's going to start a global war with these tariffs. He's going to make them so mad. Right now, we are in a tariff surrender. We have given up. We're in a trade surrender. And that goes back to the entrepreneur in Trump. He realizes that the deals we're doing with these other countries aren't based on our best interests. They're based on lobbyists. These politicians are kowtowing to China and Mexico and all these other third world countries. Yes, I consider China third world, who are getting the best deal possible, and we're letting them walk all over us. Now, an entrepreneur knows about copyrights. He knows about protecting the entrepreneur. Look at all these the guy who does Maglite flashlights or the Roebling Bridge. Look at the history of any major discovery, and you will see a guy fighting tooth and nail to maintain his copyrights, to make sure he doesn't get ripped off. Right now, America is getting ripped off, and that is downright un-American. Number 4, he's anti-jihad. I noticed, by the way, there's a lot of antis here. Yeah, I like that. I want a politician that says no. We're good for yes. I don't like politicians getting involved. My perfect politician just stops stuff from happening. Don't enable things. You can't do it. The free market can do it. He's anti-jihad, and most Muslims are wonderful people. Yeah, we know. God damn it. How many times do we have to hear your anecdotal evidence about someone in a group being nice? There's a Mexican with a sign, I'm a murderer. I murder piñatas at birthdays. Ha, you got me wrong. Hi, I'm a Muslim. I've never committed a terror act. Woo, congratulations. It's a disproportionate number, okay? 1 in 4 young American Muslims think suicide bombing is sometimes or often justified. That's bad, dummies. Islam as a whole tolerates jihad way too much. And by the way, when you leave America and young Muslims and you go to other countries, you get way worse figure. Ben Shapiro broke this down about the myth of the moderate, the tolerant Muslim. And by the way, I'm just as mad at the moderates as I am with the extremists, because the moderates enable these extremists. Look at Paris. You've got these satellite towns that promote jihad by allowing it to happen. Even in America, we've got mosques talking about the trouble with Jews and Christians. We allow these fifth columns to happen by tolerating Islam. Moderates are just as much to blame. And by the way, if you want to see what's going on, check out Britain. Look at all of Western Europe. They've given up. And when they say we have to tolerate everyone, they create a vacuum for more intolerance. And that's why Germany's flushed down the toilet. That's why London is Londonistan. I know you're bored by other countries, America, but Canada's about to go, and America will be next. You don't have to read history to see what's going to happen. Just look over the ocean. Which brings us to number 5. And I think this is a big reason why the left hates him so much. He's anti-aggrievement. He's anti-whining. And you go, wait a minute, are you talking about just college students? Just a few people who have had enough of bullying on Twitter? No. That's nothing. The aggrievement industry has permeated every part of our lives. How much a year does HR spend on these complaints, whining about someone said their workplace would encourage sexual harassment or it was too racist at my job? Look, I've worked at plenty of places right now, Rebel Media, right now, all my other jobs that don't have an HR. You know what happens? You know how many racist jokes you see? You know how many sexist jokes? You know how many women's asses get pinched? Oh. Everyone is focused on enjoying themselves and producing stuff. HR is a myth. We don't want you there. We don't want you monitoring our behavior. And everything from women in the fire departments to women in the military to just enforcing this idea of multiculturalism and equality and making it happen is ruining our lives. We've had enough of your diversity committees and your whining about this and whining about that. Look, it may have been tough in the past. Everyone had it tough in the past. The Armenians were murdered to the tune of 1 million by the Turks. We can't make up for that. What's done is done. And the beauty of Trump is he's saying, let's cut our losses. We're done with whining. We're done with hope and change. We're now starting with a clean slate and saying, let's move forward. That is why you should vote for Trump.
Thanks for watching. Click here to never miss a Rebel update. Want even more of the Rebel? Well, click here to become a premium member.